Hello and welcome back again into this course, and from now on we are going to actually develop our application logic and how things work and stuff like this. Okay, so in this particular lecture we are going to kind of cover it a little bit up. If you, for example, don't know Java, but you probably should know a little bit about Java before like enrolling into this course. But if you don't, and I want to mention a couple of things about classes and methods in Java and in Android developing environment, and Android is using Java programming language to develop applications for Android. And yeah, and to actually start developing applications, to start writing some code from some logic, open up your source folder, your main folder, Java folder, and then go to your package. We can have more packages to better organize our project, but in our case we are going to have only one package. And open up your main activity.java file. And what is main activity.java is the main file which is going to be used to start our application, to actually show our activity main.xml file, which is our layout file, and so on. And what you see in here is a bunch of code which was pre-generated by Java. Excuse me, it was pre-generated by Android Studio, by Android SDK. And in here you can see what you can see is the first lines you probably see is package declaration, which is, as I said, it's just a package declaration. You can see an Android and Java actually using imports to import different libraries and so on, but it's not like really important things at this moment. And what is really important at this stage is to actually understand what are classes and what are methods, because in Android we are using Java programming language, and Java programming language is based on object-oriented programming things and terminologies and so on. And what a class is just basically it's just a declaration. What is really? And in Java, what is a class? A class is just can be defined as a template or a blueprint that describes the behavior or different behavior states that object of its type, like support. So our class is just basically holding all our code inside it, where we are referencing with, which we are just basically showing that we are using class and stuff like this by the keyword of class. Public is just basically means our code, this particular class is going to be we are going to be able to use this class in other Java classes and Java other files and so on. Class keyword just basically means we are creating a class. Main activity is just basically a name, and we are extending activity, which basically means we are going to just basically create a Java application or Java class, which creates basically activity, and activity is a single view, a single screen, which can have a lot of views, view groups, and so on. And the next thing what I want to mention is in Android is methods. Those ones are really important, and a method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation, to particular operation. For example, when you call the system.out.println method, which basically means we are printing out some kind of stuff. And for example, a system actually executes several statements in order to display blah blah blah. The other really important thing is to analyze and to understand is what is method in Java and in Android in general. And a method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform a particular operation. And for example, in our Android case, we have this method. For example, this is the method, this is also the method, this is also the method. I have actually opened up a little bit of example like this one, which shows up a really simple method as an example. Again, public is basically means a modifier, which is just referencing. We can reference this method in all the classes and all the files and so on. Int, in this case, we can write like int, we can write like string, whatever we want. This is basically means a return type, and we actually could write void, which would mean we are not returning any particular value. And then there is a function name. Func name, it could be like pizza, and inside parentheses there are a couple of parameters which helps us define our method. And in our case, we have two parameters, integer, or both are integer, a and b. We could change them to like string and toppings in our pizza example. And we open up our curly brackets and closing our method, and in here we just writing some code. Okay. So let's go back to our Android Studio project, and in one very important, this is really important to understand in Java, is this method, which basically was, as again, pre-generated by Android Studio, by Android SDK, software development kit. And in here you can see the same kind of structure. Protected is just a modifier, and void is basically means we are not returning any like value and so on. OnCreate means onCreate method is also pre-generated by Java, by Android, and basically means it's just our method name. And we have our one parameter, which is bundle saved instance state. This is not really like important to understand like a lot of stuff in this kind of parameter, but basically what it means, it's saving our application instances. If you want, for example, rotate our screen, we want to manage this parameter to be able to save our application different states with this parameter. But in our application, this particular application, we are not going to use this a lot, and this is just basically calling this parameter. And this is a really important line, which is set content view, and the parentheses we are basically calling our layout activity main. And what is activity main? In this case, activity main is basically our layout, which basically is activity main.xml. We are referencing to this layout. Oops. And yeah, I mean, this is basically it for this kind of lecture. We have more like methods like onCreate options menu. This is basically for a menu. We are not going to use it because we don't have any menus. And options selected, and this is basically again for the menu, and we are not going to use it again. Okay, so what's more, I think I have like explained some basic things about developing in Java and so on, because we are going to use methods a lot in this, not like in this particular section for this application, but in the later course, in the later sections, we are going to use more and more of these methods. We are going to create our custom classes, not only main active, but custom classes. And yeah, all the programming on Android is based on Java, object-oriented programming language, which means we can organize our code in different methods and so on. And I hope that you understand like these things before actually diving in Android development in general. And in the next lecture, we're gonna start to developing our application.